Beekeepers, November 1st. We just went through the coldest October 31st, Halloween on record. And you see my bees. Oh, maybe you can't see. They're all out flying. It's sunny. Temperature's almost 40 degrees. I didn't have any dead outs, no losses. And the colonies I thought that were too small for the overnight temperatures in the 20s, it was 25 overnight. We're in this room. And this is the only room I have ready at the time. The problem with this room is during the day they get sunlight and they get too active. If you're going to keep them inside, you want to keep them dark. Like the Canadian Beekeeper blog, he keeps his in a dark room. And I don't have the stamina or the time to carry these in and out every single day. So I brought them in a couple days ago. They're going to stay here until the weekend. And what I do is, it starts getting too warm, I just open this door with this screen here. And you see all the bees on the floor over the last few days. They come out of the hive. For me to find every single hole where the bees can get out, it's almost impossible. They come out thinking, hey, it's warm. I could do a cleansing flight or I can do whatever. And they soon die after realizing they can't get back into the hive and they starve. Let's see what this one's doing. That one's not doing much. That's next to the window. If you've seen my videos over the last few years, I do hive inspections indoors. And I decided to no longer put colonies in the windows because I couldn't control the temperature well enough in this room to keep them from getting too warm. If I had another separate room, like see that one there, they need to be out. But here it is, afternoon already. That one there not doing anything. So I can make notes again. The Welsh colonies really aren't all that small. That's a new colony, 2023. This is an old colony. So I need to write this down. And next time I have a chance to, this is an older queen too, but next time I have a chance to do a hive inspection, either outdoors or indoors, figure out if this colony has a queen and if they're worth keeping. More than likely, they're not worth keeping. Okay, these here I have straps on, so I'm not going to open them. Hey, and I want to say, get used to inflation and look up the definition of hyperinflation. Domino cane sugar used to be $4.98 just 3 years ago, and it's been that price for many years previously. Because I've been keeping bees for 10 years, and it was never a big deal to buy Domino cane sugar. Then it was over $5 a couple years ago. Then it was over $6 a year or so ago. And then it jumped up to $8.36. Then I thought, okay, $8.36, I'll buy a few bags. Guess what? $8.77 for a bag, a 10-pound bag of Domino cane sugar. So it's getting close to being $1 a pound for cane sugar. I'm just starting to ask myself, can I afford to have honeybees anymore? And I'm getting close to the point now where I can't afford to have them anymore. I didn't feed syrup in the fall, but what I'm doing now is I'll show you. Okay. What I do is I make sugar sticks, Domino cane sugar, and I put it in the hole just to make sure they have something to eat. If I were to not feed them sugar during the winter, I would surely run out of honey. I don't have enough honey to get through winter, but as I'm losing colonies, I'll take honey away from those and give it to other colonies. And I did my fifth, wouldn't be my last, but my fifth varroa mite treatment 2 days ago with acetic acid, and I'm still dropping bees on the ground. It takes a long time using acetic acid to get rid of the varroa mites. Some of the colonies still have cat brood, So you have to assume they have varroa mites. How are you supposed to know which colonies have cat brood and which ones don't? You don't. You just have to assume they all have cat brood. They all still have varroa mites until the end of December, January, or whatever the queens stop laying. So I may have to do another treatment again. That's the only problem with varroa mites is when you use acetic acid, it takes a long time to get rid of varroa mites. But I keep complaining about the toxic chemicals. I can't get rid of the toxic chemicals. They're always in my hives. They're always causing my bees to die. How do I know this? Was it a couple years ago or a year ago? A couple years ago, I think it was. I had a colony that was dying, got really small. And here it was January, February. And I did a really heavy-duty acetic acid treatment. Really strong. And I checked everything on the bottom board there. Not a single varroa mite, okay? So my bees are dying through winter because they don't live very long. They live 3 to 4 months instead of 5 to 6 months that they're supposed to live. So if we have a long winter, but they are forecasting a warm, mild winter for Michigan, but whatever they say, I expect the opposite, all right? So let me pause. These here are new 2023 colonies, and along with this one here, done in May, and they are about the best colonies that I have. And you see that cube of sugar? I had a batch that I made. Instead of doing the long skinny sticks, it was too thick and it cooled off quick, and I couldn't do the sticks, so I cut cubes. And these colonies here don't have shims yet because I didn't have enough shims. And you see that one there? This is a sugar stick is what I call it. See? And here's a cube. I just stuck this in a few days ago, just to make sure they don't run out of sugar. If they run out of sugar, then they will eat the honey. See, there's a sugar cube, big cube, block, or whatever you'll call it. So $8.77 for, they're not touching that one, for a 10-pound bag of domino cane sugar. They're not touching theirs either. And that one's too far away from the hole. But as I go through winter, I know my colonies are going to be shrinking in numbers. Not from the varroa mites. I could continue to do varroa mite treatments to get rid of the varroa mites, but they will be shrinking because of the toxic chemicals. See, they're not touching that either. I'm trying to decide if I should make more tonight. Never let them run out. Especially if the shims between the medium and the deep, if they run out of sugar, a lot of times, if they're down here, they won't go up into the medium for honey. But I gotta honestly tell you, majority of my colonies don't even have any honey in the deep. All their honey, well, that one's doing good. All the honey is in the medium. So I'm thinking that maybe using a shim is not even a good idea, because what happens is when I use a shim, sometimes they won't go from one hive body to the next because they don't want to go to the wall. The hive is too cold, and even though bees could climb on top of each other, I've just had experiences where they don't move from one hive body to the other because of the space. So I think maybe this winter I'll do a test and see. I won't do shims on some colonies and see if they do better. It was better be that my first hive, see, there's nothing there, the bees are down. My first hive I bought from Better Bee, they gave me a shim and they told me where to put it. Yeah, right. Better Bee, stick it up your ass. Listen here. I don't do business with Better Bee anymore. They're more into selling products for varroa mite treatments, and they won't acknowledge the toxic chemicals like most people on YouTube won't acknowledge the toxic chemicals that causing the most trouble with your bees. It's not the varroa mites. You can do treatments and get rid of the varroa mites, but your bees will still die. Come on, get off. So that's basically it. I was told by somebody that I should slow down. You slow down, you slack off, guess what? Your colonies die. I don't have time for that. It's November 1st, so winter is just getting started. And a lot of what happens with the bees during this time of year is, see the clouds? Here it is in Michigan, we get lake effect clouds. No more sunshine. The bees will be out flying around in between clouds, and it'll get cold. And if they don't make it back to the hive where it might be warm for a little while, or get into the hive, they ending up on the ground. So I'm going to lose bees from that, just from the weather, and I'll lose bees from the toxic chemicals. And I know my colony size is shrinking through winter. And come January and February, when it's really, really cold, if I don't keep an eye on the size of these clusters and I leave them out here, guess what? I've got a dead out. So I have to assume, I've been doing this for 10 years, I have to assume, and better to assume than to think things are going to go well. I'm assuming they're all going to be really small and they'll all end up inside sometime during the winter. So here I am, busy making sure I have enough room inside for my colonies. The Canadian Beekeepers blog up in Canada, he's already brought his bees, all his colonies inside around the end of September. I don't know how his bees can do it inside for 7 months out of the year. I figure mine have to be inside at least 6 if we have a long winter. But they only live 3 to 4 months. So last night was the first test of the cold, and I did bring in all those colonies I showed you when I started the video that I thought were too small for the temperatures. And every week, twice a week. You don't do it every other week. You have to go through and you have to check the size of your cluster. That's why I like the shim in the hive. I could take a little flashlight and I could put it in there and I can actually determine the size of the cluster. How big is that cluster? By looking at the top, you don't know. Does that cluster go all the way down? You know, if they only go halfway on the medium, then you know it's a small cluster. But if they go down and there's sugar here and they go down a little bit, you know how big it is. And most of my colonies aren't really that big. So I have to assume that, assume that I'm going to be bringing them all in. This has always been one of my best colonies the last couple of years. So I need to make more sugar tonight. These are down here. They're down. I can't. There, see? They're down. A lot of these beekeepers, they're afraid to open the hive during the winter when it's cold. You're just taking a quick peek. You're not pulling out frames, okay? If you don't look, you don't know. That's why I like that shim. The shim, I don't have to lift the cover. A lot of times you have snow and ice up there. I don't have to lift the cover. I just take this fuse out. Take the flashlight, look in there, and that's where I put my sugar. Okay? So I gotta say, I can't slow down. I slow down, I start doing losses. I didn't get hooked up with a commercial beekeeper to buy my bees. I'll try again next year. That's the only way I'm going to make any money. I need to get hooked up with a commercial beekeeper that will buy my new colonies at the end of summer. Not all of them, just some of them, so that I don't have so many bees to get through winter, and then the next year I can make more. That's the fun part, making new colonies, and I'm good at it. But trying to get all those colonies through winter is a pain in the ass. And Domino cane sugar, $8.77 for a 10-pound bag. Feeding syrup in the fall is out of the question. I'm not spending $2,000 or $3,000 on honeybees and have them die. That's how you go bankrupt, okay? So that's all I got to say. All right, thank you.